Hi, we've just come out of the session on how can competition contribute to a fairer society here at the OECD Global Forum on Competition. I'm joined by Pinar Akman, Professor from Leeds. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for saying a few words to us. If I just dive straight into a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
So during the discussion, we heard a few different views on how competition can fit in with fairness. You had a number of different sort of ways that you thought fairness might be relevant within competition. Mm-hmm. Could you give us a
Sure.
readout?
So during the discussion, it appeared that one common understanding of fairness is as reduction of inequality in societies. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of comments in relation to how competition can contribute to reducing inequality in general. And I know that you and your colleagues have also written an excellent paper on this. And my take on that was that you have done as well a job as anyone can to answer that question of how competition can contribute to fairer societies. Sure. And the idea is that competition in itself, when markets are working well and competition is delivering the results that it should, that in itself should indirectly lead to a reduction in inequality. And the other take that one could take on the concept of fairness and competition policy and law is one that looks at more concrete use of fairness as a tool by competition authorities when they enforce competition laws. And my position on that, which I expressed at the Global Forum today, was that fairness as an independent goal or tool should play really a limited role in competition enforcement. There are lots of reasons for that. Some of them are not specific to competition law. For example, in law, we are a lot more comfortable with procedural fairness than substantive fairness. Sure. And substantive fairness would be judging the outcome of a given transaction or conduct in terms of whether it's fair or unfair. Yeah. And we see that judges in general do not like engaging in that essentially subjective assessment of whether the given outcome is fair or unfair. So perhaps for competition law as well, it might be better to focus on procedural fairness, and there are already ways in which competition law does that through various procedural fairness safeguards in terms of investigations, right to a fair hearing, and so on. And I argued that that's probably the more appropriate way of focusing competition authorities' actions in terms of fairness rather than pursuing a case because the outcome looks unfair. Yeah.
And at the end of the session, there was a bit of discussion about, different proposals on how to, what should be considered within things. But you had some advice for competition agencies on what they should be doing in the meantime?
So we came to a point at which it seemed like there is some demand almost coming from the wider public in terms of wanting an explanation as to why the markets look the way they look these days, both in relation to concentration, but also in relation to, for example, the outcome of the financial crises and so on, that people feel like there's something unfair about the way in which markets work. And this might, of course, lead to a lack of trust in the markets, and that wouldn't be in anyone's interest. So one point I made was that even if fairness is or should be taken into account in the competition assessment by competition authorities, before that's done, we need a clear framework which is established ex ante, so before the conduct takes place, to ensure legal certainty and business certainty. Absolutely. And once we have that framework, then we might look at applying that framework. But until that framework is established, and it will be a challenge to establish that framework, competition authorities can serve consumers best if they continue doing what they usually do, using the traditional economic and legal tools that they have to pursue practices that they see to be the most harmful to the interest of consumers.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.